What's going on, guys? You're watching The Hungry Handgunner. I'm Nick, and I want to show you something kind of cool. It's kind of rare. Not going to be able to find it in a whole lot of places, but I'm really proud of the fact that I've got it. Currency of the new world, folks, especially at 2-ply. Anyway, no, on a serious note, we are going to be talking about coronavirus, COVID-19 today. I'm not going to be talking about the medical aspect of it because I'm not a medical guy. What I'm going to be talking about more is the pandemic of fear aspect that we're seeing, and the preparedness, and why you should probably have some things on hand all the time, not just when something like this is happening. Start with the obvious one, water. People are running out everywhere, getting water, stocking up on it. It's really not that smart, and it's really kind of unnecessary. So it's very easy to make potable water. The simplest method is iodine tablets. Scoop some water up from a creek, throw some iodine in there. You may still have grit and sediment, but viruses and bacteria and stuff like that are going to be killed by the iodine. Side effect is the water tastes like complete garbage. Actually, I knew a guy that did prefer that taste of water, but it tastes like crap, and I'm not sure about the long-term effects of drinking the iodine. However, it will work, and it's definitely better than getting Giardia or something else from the water. You have pump-style filters. I don't have one out here, but I normally keep one in my vehicles. Screws on top of a Nalgene bottle. It's got a little hose that goes down in the creek or whatever water source, and you just pump, and it's kind of slow. It'll take you about 5 minutes to fill up a 32-ounce Nalgene, but the water is going to have no sediment. It filters out the viruses, the bacteria. It's completely safe to drink. I've used it on countless backpacking trips, backcountry excursions, etc. It works great. They can be kind of pricey. I don't even know what they're going for right now, but normally around like $80 to $100 you get a really solid one with a ceramic cartridge that'll last I don't even know how long. You've also got things like life straws and bottles with built-in filters and things like that you can get fairly inexpensively. You probably should pick up some filter cartridges for them. So I think it's a good idea to have a couple gallons of drinking water on hand, just all the time. You know, power outage, if you're on a well, or something going on with your water supply, if you're on municipal water, whatever. It's a good idea to have a few gallons, but stockpiling water, really unnecessary. You can't really move it, so if you had to move locations, it's not a good idea. We're going to talk about, we'll go ahead and get the elephant in the room, or the shit tickets. For those of you that don't know or haven't done a whole lot of camping, there is an abundance of shit way out here that will work perfectly fine for removing particles from your posterior. I don't necessarily need that. Actually, it's kind of one, I'm just scratching my head on why that is such a big deal. Obviously, if you're self-quarantined for a couple of weeks, yeah, you should probably, you could order it on Amazon, or you probably could have before people started treating it like gold. Not the most important thing that you need to stock up on. So, creature comforts, though, in that category. Stuff that's not absolutely essential for survival, but still nice to have. Toothpaste, mouthwash, whatever, stuff that you would pack in an overnight bag, soap, shampoo, whatever. You can survive as a human being. You can live without it, but it's nice to have. So I would say, maybe a couple tubes of toothpaste on standby, some sort of soap, which you can use all sorts of soap as body soap if it comes down to it. So whatever works there. And then, wipes, or they even have these little super light, super compact wipes. You put a little bit of water on, and then you can use them to wash yourself, whatever. Creature comfort stuff, it's important, but it's not essential, if that makes sense. Food, obviously, in this sort of situation, it would not be a stretch to imagine, can't run to Taco Bell anymore, or Pizza Hut or whatever. So I think having some food, non-perishable stuff on standby is always a good idea. The stuff that is easy to cook with minimal effort, that you could conceivably cook over an open flame, if your utilities went down or whatever, that probably makes more sense. You can also get things like backpacking stoves, which is most of my survival gear is backpacking stuff because I have the most experience with it. I know it's worked. I've got it tested out in the field, and it's not that expensive. So REI is my preferred place to get that stuff. I'll drop a link in the description. They're an awesome store. It's probably the store, other than a gun store, where I could spend the most amount of money in the least amount of time if I was allowed in there unsupervised and unchecked. It's a cool store. A Home Depot I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, food stuff. Good idea. You can get seasonings, herbs, and things like that. They're light, they're dry, they don't take up a lot of space, and they could go a long way towards making that rabbit you just shot taste better for your family. So things like that, good idea to keep around. Again, the seasonings and stuff, not absolutely essential, but comfort is somewhat important. First aid supplies. Don't buy more stuff than you're qualified to use. Now, preface that by saying I'm not sitting here with my nose in the air saying that I know stuff you don't. I may know more than some of you, and there's probably a lot of you that know more than I do. So I don't think you need to buy the Portable Operating Room 3000 if you just have basic lifesaver certification. If you can CPR certified, you don't necessarily need, suturing kits, etc. Now, that being said, if you want to have it as a potential trading item in a prepper situation, that's on you. I'm not telling you don't buy it. I'm saying stuff that you should only buy which you're confident using. Basic bandages, disinfectants, things like that are very important. I would argue in this case maybe some breathing barriers in case somebody goes down. You got to do CPR on them, and I don't know. But things like that, gloves are always a good idea. Bloodborne pathogens are no joke. And I would say just pretty much the basics on the first aid kit as far as what to keep around. This is a really tricky subject to talk about because I'm bordering on extreme prepper territory, and those guys will fight tooth and nail. It's like 1911 versus Glock. So don't come in the comments trying to give anybody a master's degree on prepping. My channel is not for that, although I do appreciate specific knowledge if that's warranted. So things like that, disinfectant stuff works good as an alternative to bleach. You can often use vinegar, and that's somewhat easier to find, probably less likely to be in a shortage situation in this case, because most people are going to buy what they know, and bleach is kind of the gold standard. So there's things like that. I would say that you need to have plans. If you live somewhere like I do where it's completely electric power and it's still somewhat cold, what are your plans if that service is interrupted? Can you still stay warm if you need to? Need to prepare as far in advance as you can with medicines. Now, obviously, prescription medicines you can't get at your will. It's going to be at your healthcare provider's discretion and pharmacy's discretion. So in those situations where you can't just acquire things on your own, like medication and things like that, I would look around and see if you have any deregulated alternatives for that medication. I'm not going to go into examples again because I'm not a medical guy. I don't have any kind of qualification to be telling you what you could use in place of what, but I would look at, as much as people thumb their nose at it, homeopathic remedies. I would look at things that you could readily find, even if their legality is kind of questionable. In that kind of situation, I'm not saying go break the law now, but in the event that you couldn't get what you needed and things had gone completely to shit, or there are alternatives that are readily accessible that legally are questionable right now. So just kind of thinking long term, like if I couldn't go to CVS tomorrow, what, if anything, could I do to replace whatever? So things like that, always a good thing to look at. I don't necessarily think that, I think that we're suffering more from a pandemic of panic right now than anything. I think the stock market shows that pretty clearly. I mean, is it a serious disease? I think so. Is it as bad as they're saying it is? I don't know. But I think we all need to try to keep our wits about us, be smart, wash our hands, cover your mouth when you cough, things like that. For those of you that don't know, if you got a cough, coughing like this, not a good plan. Coughing like that, much better. That being said, I'm going to be keeping an eye on ammo prices. I have a feeling we may start seeing those go up significantly. So if that's the case, I may taper off some of my shooting. That's just that. Conserve ammo, because that's another thing that is probably a good idea to have around. So I'll let you guys determine what quantities you need, but more is always better. That being said, I hope everybody stays safe. Wash your hands, cover your mouth. Don't panic, be smart, make logical, informed decisions. And if ammo doesn't go completely through the roof, keep shooting. I'll see you next time.